segment, we'll break down why Golden State might aim for Giannis, what obstacles they face, how they could build a trade plan, and what it all means for the franchise's future. Part 1. Why Giannis makes sense for Golden State. From a pure basketball perspective, acquiring Giannis would instantly elevate the Warriors to a title-contending level, not just in the West but across the entire league. Giannis brings elite two-way impact, rim protection, elite rebounding, dominant drives, and as he's matured, better playmaking. Aligning him with Curry's shooting and playmaking and Draymond's defensive IQ could create a multidimensional attack that few teams can match. Beyond on-court fit, the franchise's strategic motivations also align. The Warriors' front office recognizes that their current championship window needs reinforcing, since relying only on the aging core may reduce margin for error. Moreover, acquiring Giannis would excite the fan base, restore narrative energy, and signal that Golden State remains willing to swing for generational talent. Also, Giannis shares some existing ties, for example, the same agency representation with Curry, both via Octagon, which could ease some off-court negotiations. Yardbarker +2. Part 2. Major obstacles and why the deal is so hard. However, the path to Giannis is littered with challenges. Contract/cap issues. Giannis carries a massive salary. He is under contract through 2026 to 27, with a player option for 2027 to 28. The Warriors would need to clear large cap space, which likely means sacrificing valuable role players or parts of their core. Yardbarker +1. Asset cost trade package. Analysts estimate the cost to acquire Giannis would include multiple unprotected first-round picks and high-end young talent. For example, one trade scenario has Warriors sending Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and at least one unprotected first-round. Golden State's available draft assets are limited compared to other contenders. They have to balance keeping picks and prospects versus using them for a blockbuster. Heavy sports +2. Timing and internal priorities. Some sources indicate the Warriors are not at the front of the line for Giannis right now. They reportedly are focused more on role players and internal development rather than a blockbuster acquisition this offseason. Furthermore, Golden State must consider the long term. Curry will age, Green's role will decline, so adding Giannis may shift the timeline of franchise structure and chemistry. Bringing in a superstar of Giannis's magnitude changes team dynamics. Integrating him into the scheme, altering roles of existing stars, managing egos and expectations, all require delicate handling. Part 3. What a realistic plan could look like. Given the obstacles, how might Golden State craft a serious but realistic plan? Asset preservation and flexibility. One key sign that Golden State is preparing is their emphasis on maintaining flexibility for future star acquisitions rather than locking in long-term contracts for role players. For example, they are reportedly avoiding long commitments to Jonathan Kuminga so that they remain open for a possible Giannis-type market. Golden State of Mind +2. Draft pick strategy. Analysts suggest that the Warriors could trade picks such as 2026, 2028 and maybe 2030/2031 first-rounders, or pick swaps, to build a package. As Heavy Sports outlines, Warriors cannot offer their 2025, 2027, 2029 and 2031 since they are not allowed to trade first-rounders in back-to-back drafts, Ted Stepien rule. What they could do is trade the other half of their 2030 pick. Heavy Sports. Player inclusion strategy. A realistic scenario might see the Warriors trade one of their stars, for example Draymond Green, plus young assets, Podziemski, Kuminga, and picks in exchange for Giannis. One mock trade had Warriors getting Giannis, Lakers receiving Draymond Green and Daniel Gafford, Mavericks getting other assets, and Bucks getting a haul. SI+1. Timing alignment. The Warriors may be positioning themselves to pounce on the Giannis market in a season or two rather than immediately. Their reasoning: they maintain flexibility, don't overcommit now, and monitor workload of their core. This gives them a window when Giannis might more favorably consider Golden State, or when Milwaukee is more willing to deal him. Essentially Sports +1. Internal decision points. The Warriors have to decide whether to continue with the current core, or pivot to a new era centered around Giannis and Curry, or even shift beyond Curry. They will need to assess how long Curry can be at elite levels, and whether they want to build around Giannis' prime. Part 4. Potential risks and trade-offs. Even if the trade is executed, the Warriors will face significant risks. Depth and role player loss. To acquire Giannis, they trade young players and picks that might otherwise be future contributors. This could thin the roster. Team chemistry shifts. A major addition can disrupt locker room balance. Curry's role, Green's role, and the team's culture may each need adjustment. Injury and age risk. Curry and Green are aging, and investing so much around Giannis assumes the current veterans remain healthy and effective. Return on investment uncertainty. While Giannis is elite, winning a championship is never guaranteed, especially in the Western Conference. If the investment fails, the asset cost is high. Future flexibility constraint. For the Warriors themselves, it would mean moving into an ultra-competitive window where every season is a must-win. They'd likely surround Giannis with shooters and role players, which they already have strength in. It would also mark a transition phase, potentially extending competitive relevance past Curry's prime. For the league, the ripple effects would be vast. Teams like the Milwaukee Bucks would then enter rebuild mode, young men like Podziemski and Kuminga could become central pieces elsewhere, and the entire trade market would shift. However, if the Warriors decide not to pursue Giannis aggressively, it may signal their commitment to internal development and maintaining their current core, showing that some dreams remain just that. Conclusion. In summary, the Warriors landing Giannis Antetokounmpo remains a compelling possibility, one that would immediately elevate the franchise, excite fans, and reshape the NBA hierarchy. But it is far from a sure thing. Contract complexities, asset costs, timing considerations, and internal dynamics all play major roles. Golden State appears to be aligning their future flexibility, preserving assets, and positioning themselves, but they are also realistic about the challenge. For Warriors fans and NBA observers alike, keep an eye on the young assets, Kuminga, Podziemski, draft pick movements, and Milwaukee's stance on Giannis. Those breadcrumbs may lead to whether this dream becomes reality. Night blankets the city of San Francisco. The skyline glows like a sea of gold and blue, the colors of the Warriors. Inside the silent Chase Center, Stephen Curry stands alone in front of a wall covered with framed photos, 4 NBA championships, 2 MVP trophies, countless moments frozen in glory. Yet behind his calm eyes lies a quiet storm. He has wealth, fame, and history, but he feels the ticking clock. He wonders if he'll leave the Warriors at the top, or fade away chasing something already lost. The next morning, Coach Steve Kerr invites Curry into his office. On the desk are reports showing the team's early season rotations: Podziemski, Moody, Hield, all talented, all inconsistent. Kerr folds his arms, looking at Curry with a heavy tone. "Steph, we've got heart, but we're missing balance. We need a guard who can defend, pass, and let you breathe." Curry nods slowly, gazing out the window. "You're talking about Derek White, aren't you?" Across the country in Boston, Derek White trains alone under the cold fluorescent lights of the Celtics facility. His numbers have dipped, his body feels heavier, and the Boston media has turned critical. He remembers the 2024 finals, that crucial block, that roar of victory, moments that made him a champion. But now, he feels like a man running out of air. Then his phone buzzes, a message from his agent. "Warriors might be calling." Derek exhales. A hint of a smile flickers, half disbelief, half hope. Back in San Francisco, Kerr calls a late-night meeting with GM Mike Dunleavy Jr., Draymond Green, and Bob Myers, still advising unofficially. Papers and salary charts scatter across the table. Dunleavy points out that Jonathan Kuminga has been breaking out, averaging career-high numbers. Trading him would be risky. Myers leans back, thoughtful. "Sometimes to climb the mountain again, you've got to leave the safety rope behind." Draymond, intense as ever, slams his palm on the table. "If we want Steph to finish as a winner, not a legend who faded, we go all in." 2 days later, the rumor leaks. Breaking news. Golden State Warriors showing strong interest in Celtics guard Derek White. Social media explodes. Analysts debate the move, some calling it desperate, others calling it genius. In Boston, fans panic. In San Francisco, hope rekindles. Meanwhile, Curry spends a quiet evening with his wife Aisha and their kids. The laughter at the dinner table hides the tension inside him. When the children go to bed, Aisha places her hand on his shoulder. "You've carried this city for 15 years," she says softly. "If this is your last run, make it count." Steph nods. His eyes gleam, not with fear, but fire. The trade becomes official. Derek White lands in San Francisco under a foggy sky. The press swarms, cameras flashing. He greets Curry with a firm handshake at practice. "Let's go win something big," Curry says. White grins, his quiet confidence filling the gym. That first scrimmage, the chemistry is instant, defense tight, passes crisp, energy reborn. As the season unfolds, the Warriors rediscover their rhythm. White guards the league's best scorers while Curry saves energy for his art, the deep threes, the late-game magic. The arena chants echo louder than ever. "Warriors! Warriors!" Kerr watches from the sideline, pride mixing with disbelief. "We might actually do this again," he whispers. The playoffs arrive. Every round feels like a farewell tour, the last dance of a dynasty. Boston, ironically, stands in their way in the finals. A poetic twist of fate, Derek White against his former team. The series stretches to Game 7, tied 3-3. Final minutes, Chase Center. Score tied. White blocks Jaylen Brown on one end. Curry takes the rebound, crosses half court, steps back from the logo. Swish. The crowd erupts. Tears, confetti, chaos. Kerr hugs Curry tight. "You did it again, my friend." As the celebration fades, Curry walks to midcourt alone. The lights dim except for one spotlight on him. He lifts the ball high, smiling through tears. "This one," he whispers, "is for all of us, the believers."